The girl wasn't wearing shoes. That's what Cormac saw first. A 9-year-old standing in freezing rain, barefoot, bleeding, clutching a torn rabbit. Behind her, a 15-year-old boy with a split lip and terror in his eyes. "He was taking her to the bedroom." The boy's voice shattered. "I hit him. We ran. Please, just hide her. One night, I'll sleep outside. I'll leave, just keep her safe." Headlights cut through the darkness. A truck moving fast. The boy's face went white. "That's him. Oh God, that's him. He's going to kill us both." Cormac had 3 seconds. The door opened wider. 2 hours earlier, the rain started falling on Henderson, Nevada. Cold rain, the kind that soaked through clothes and turned dirt roads into rivers of mud. Ainsley O'Malley didn't notice the cold anymore. Her feet had gone numb 20 minutes ago, maybe 30. Time stopped meaning anything after the first mile. She focused on Brennan's hand, her brother's grip tight around her wrist, pulling her forward, always forward. Don't stop, don't look back, don't think about what happens if Dalton catches up. The rabbit dragged in the mud behind her. Buttons, the stuffed animal missing one ear held together by threads and memories of a mother who used to sing lullabies. Ainsley wouldn't let go, couldn't let go. Everything else was gone. The rabbit stayed. "How much farther?" Her voice came out small, swallowed by wind and rain. Brennan didn't answer. He never did when he was scared. And Brennan was scared. Ainsley could tell by the way his hands shook, the way he kept looking over his shoulder, the way his breathing came too fast, too shallow. They'd been walking for 2 hours since Brennan smashed the bottle into Dalton's head, since blood sprayed across the kitchen floor, since Ainsley's scream became the only sound in the universe. Her feet hurt. God, they hurt. Every step sent pain shooting up her legs. Sharp rocks, broken glass, things she couldn't see in the darkness but felt with every movement. She wanted to stop, wanted to sit down and cry and make the world go away. But Brennan kept pulling, so Ainsley kept walking. The houses disappeared an hour ago. Now there was only desert, scrub brush, an empty road, and the distant glow of something ahead. Lights. Brennan said there were lights. The clubhouse, he'd told her when they first started running. The hellsangels. Dalton's scared of them. It's the only place he won't follow. Ainsley didn't know what hellsangels were. The name sounded bad, dangerous, but Dalton was worse. Anything was better than going back. She thought about her mother, Linda O'Malley, dead 14 months, 2 weeks, and 5 days. Not that Ainsley was counting, except she was, every single day. Ainsley found her in the bathroom. The memory crashed through her defenses, no warning. Just suddenly there. Sharp and vivid, and so real she could smell the vomit and see the blue tinge to her mother's lips and hear her own voice screaming for Brennan. She was 7 years old, 7. And she found her mother dead on the bathroom floor with a needle still in her arm. The social worker came 6 hours later. Ms. Patterson, tired eyes and a briefcase full of forms. She asked questions Ainsley couldn't answer. Where was their father? Did they have family grandparents? Aunts, uncles, number? No to everything. "You'll have to go into the system," Ms. Patterson said. The words sounded rehearsed, mechanical. "Foster care, separate placements because of your ages." Separate. The word hit Ainsley like a fist. Not Brennan. Please not Brennan. He was all she had left. Then Dalton Hayes appeared. Linda's boyfriend, except Ainsley barely remembered him. He'd been around sometimes. In and out, gone more than present. But he showed up to the funeral in a suit that almost fit and eyes that almost looked sad. He told Miss Patterson he'd been away for work, told her he loved Linda, told her he wanted to take care of the kids. He had papers, emergency guardianship documents, power of attorney, things with official stamps and signatures that Ainsley didn't understand, but Miss Patterson accepted. "This is good," the social worker said, relief obvious in her voice. "One less case to process, one less file to track. The children stayed together. Stability, that's what matters." Dalton smiled, the kind of smile that looked right but felt wrong. Ainsley didn't trust him, not from the first moment. Something in his eyes, something cold. But she was 8 years old and crying and desperate to stay with Brennan. So when Dalton asked if she wanted to come home with him, Ainsley nodded. Biggest mistake of her life. The first month was okay. Dalton paid the rent on their mother's trailer. bought groceries, and let them stay in school. He worked nights at the construction yard, came home tired, drank beer, watched TV, ignored them mostly. Ainsley thought maybe it would be fine. Maybe they'd gotten lucky. Then Ms. Patterson came for the 1-month home visit. Dalton cleaned the trailer, made Brennan scrub the bathroom until it gleamed, filled the refrigerator with fresh food, put on a button-down shirt and smiled his too bright smile. Ms. Patterson stayed 20 minutes, walked through the rooms, asked if they were okay. Ainsley and Brennan said yes because Dalton was standing right there and his eyes promised consequences if they said anything different. "Everything looks good," Ms. Patterson announced. She marked something on her clipboard. "I'll check in again next month." She never came back. That night, Dalton's mask came off. Ainsley forgot to wash the dishes. A simple mistake. She was 8. But Dalton grabbed Brennan by the hair and slammed his face into the kitchen counter. The sound. God, the sound. Brennan's nose breaking. Blood everywhere. Ainsley screaming. Dalton didn't even look at her, just dropped Brennan to the floor and walked to his bedroom. Closed the door. Brennan couldn't hear out of his left ear for 3 days. That was the first time. After that, it was anything, everything. Looked at Dalton wrong, made noise while he was sleeping. Didn't move fast enough when he gave an order. Brennan took it all. Every hit, every kick, every moment of rage. He put himself between Dalton and Ainsley. Always. Became a shield made of bruises and broken bones and silent endurance. "As long as I do what he wants." Brennan told her once, "He won't touch you." Ainsley believed him, had to believe him, because the alternative was too terrifying to consider. Then Dalton figured out Brennan was useful. "I've got a job for you," Dalton said one morning. Brennan was 13. "Simple delivery. Take this package to the address that I give you. Don't open it. Don't ask questions. Come straight back." Brennan knew what was in the packages. Crystal meth, pills, whatever poison Dalton was moving that week. But what choice did he have? Say no and get beaten. Say no, and maybe Dalton would decide Ainsley could run packages instead. So Brennan said yes. For 8 months, he delivered drugs across Henderson. On his bike. Fast routes, back alleys, places cops didn't look twice at a teenage kid. Except Deputy Briggs looked. Picked Brennan up outside the 7-Eleven with 2 ounces of meth in his backpack. Put him in handcuffs, called it in. Brennan thought it was over. Thought he'd go to juvenile detention and Ainsley would be alone with Dalton. Then Dalton showed up at the station, walked straight into Deputy Briggs's office, closed the door. 5 minutes of muffled conversation. When they came out, Briggs removed the handcuffs. "Misunderstanding," the deputy said. His voice was flat, dead. "Kid's free to go. No report, no charges, nothing." Dalton owned Deputy Briggs, bought and paid for. After that, Brennan knew there was no way out. No one to call, no one to trust. The system didn't care. The cops were dirty. They were trapped. For 2 more years, Brennan ran packages and took beatings and protected Ainsley from the worst of it. But Ainsley saw things Brennan didn't know about. Girls. They started appearing 6 months ago. Young girls. 13, 14, 15. Dalton said they were cousins, nieces, friends' kids who needed a place to stay for a few days. They never stayed long. 2 days, 3 at most. Then they were gone. Vanished. Ainsley would see them in their spare bedroom. Scared eyes, bruises they tried to hide. They wouldn't talk to her, wouldn't look at her. One girl did. Her name was Bridget O'Connor. 14 years old, red hair and freckles and a black eye that was almost healed. Bridget found Ainsley in the hallway one night. "You seem like a good kid," Bridget whispered. "Don't trust him. Any of them. They're not taking me to California. I don't know where I'm going, but it's not California." She pressed something into Ainsley's arm. A bracelet. Cheap metal with fake gems. "Remember me," Bridget said. "Please. Someone should remember me." The next morning, Bridget was gone. Ainsley kept the bracelet hidden in her pillowcase. Took it out sometimes when she couldn't sleep. Wondered where Bridget was, if she was okay, if she was even alive. Deep down, Ainsley knew. She knew, and she hated herself for knowing, for seeing, for doing nothing. But what could she do? She was 8, then 9, small, powerless, scared every second of every day, until tonight. Tonight, something changed in Dalton. He came home at 10, high, drunk, both probably, stumbling through the door with eyes that didn't focus and words that slurred together. Brennan was in his room. Ainsley was in the kitchen finishing homework. Dalton looked at her, not the usual dismissive glance, not the cold assessment of whether she'd done something wrong. This was different. His eyes traveled down, lingered, a slow, deliberate examination that made Ainsley's skin crawl. "You're getting big," Dalton said. His voice had a quality she'd never heard before. Soft, almost gentle, worse than any scream. Not a little kid anymore. Ainsley's heart stopped. She knew that look, saw it in the way he'd looked at Bridget, at the other girls, the ones who disappeared. Dalton took a step forward. "Come here." Ainsley backed away. Her hip hit the counter. "I said come here." Dalton's hands shot out, grabbed her arm, fingers digging into her flesh hard enough to bruise. He started dragging her toward the hallway, toward his bedroom. "No." The word came out small, worthless. "Please, no." "Shut up." Dalton's grip tightened. "You've been living under my roof, eating my food. Time you paid your way." Ainsley screamed, loud, piercing. The sound of every nightmare condensed into one moment of pure terror. Brennan's door slammed open. He saw, understood instantly. Brennan grabbed the empty whiskey bottle off the counter. Didn't hesitate, didn't think, just moved. The bottle connected with Dalton's skull. Glass shattered, blood sprayed. Dalton went down, not unconscious, but down. On his knees, hand pressed to his head, blood running between his fingers. "You little shit." Dalton's voice was murder. "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to fucking kill you both." Brennan grabbed Ainsley's hand. "Run." They ran, out the door, into the rain, down the road. Ainsley's shoes fell off somewhere in the first 100 yards. She didn't stop to get them. Behind them, Dalton was screaming, getting up, getting his keys. They ran faster. Now 2 hours later, Ainsley's feet were raw and bleeding, and she couldn't feel her toes. But lights were ahead, getting closer. There, Brennan pointed, the clubhouse. It was a low building, concrete and steel. Motorcycles lined up outside like soldiers at attention. Lights spilled from windows. Music thumped low and steady. A sign above the gate, Hellsangels MC, private property. Ainsley's steps slowed. Fear crawled up her spine. Different fear than Dalton. Unknown fear. "Brennan, I don't know." "It's okay." Brennan's voice was steady, lying. He was terrified too. "They're good people. I've heard stories. They protect kids. We'll be safe." Ainsley wanted to believe him. They walked to the gate, through it, across the yard. At the door, Brennan raised his hand to knock. Ainsley stopped him. "Let me." Her voice was stronger than she felt. "I'm the one who needs help." Brennan looked at her. Something shifted in his expression. Pride, maybe, or sadness, or both. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay." Ainsley raised her small fist, knocked 3 times, waited. Inside, she heard boots on concrete, heavy footsteps. The door opened. A man stood there, tall, broad, late 40s with a shaved head and scars that mapped a life of violence. Leather vest with patches. Hell's Angels. O'Brien. His eyes went to Ainsley's face, then down to her bare feet. The blood, the mud, the rabbit. Something flickered across his expression. Pain, recognition, memory. "Help you." His voice came out harder than he meant. Ainsley looked up at him, met his eyes, didn't flinch. "My stepfather tried to hurt me." The words came clear, precise. "Brennan saved me. We ran. Please, mister, just keep me safe for one night. That's all I ask, one night." The man stared at her. Behind him, other voices, other men appearing in the doorway. "Boss, what's going on?" "Who's that?" "Is that a kid?" The big man didn't answer them, didn't look away from Ainsley. His mind was somewhere else, some other time. 8 years ago, a phone call at 2 in the morning. Deputy's voice, "Sorry, sir. Accident on Highway 95. Drunk driver crossed the center line. Your daughter, Sarah. She didn't make it. Cormac O'Brien had a daughter once, Sarah. 19 years old, beautiful and bright and full of dreams about becoming a teacher. She died holding her phone. Last text unsent. Love you, Dad. He'd failed her. Not just the accident. Before that, years before. Sarah was 9 when she told him about Mr. Henderson. The neighbor 2 doors down said Mr. Henderson looked at her funny, said things that made her uncomfortable, asked her to help him in his garage when no one else was around. Cormac didn't believe her, told her she was being dramatic, told her Mr. Henderson was a deacon at church. A good man, told her to stop making up stories. Sarah stopped telling him things after that. 10 years later, she died. Cormac found her diary when he cleaned out her apartment, page after page about Mr. Henderson, about how he touched her, about how her father didn't believe her, didn't protect her, about how she learned she was alone. Cormac put a bullet in Mr. Henderson's knee 6 months after Sarah's funeral, didn't kill him, wanted him to live with pain, the way Cormac lived with pain, spent a year in county for it, worth every second. But it didn't bring Sarah back. Didn't change the fact that when his daughter needed him most, Cormac chose not to listen. Now a 9-year-old girl stood on his doorstep, barefoot, bleeding, asking for one night of safety. Cormac heard Sarah's voice. Please, Dad, please believe me. This time he would listen. Get inside. Cormac pulled the door wider. Both of you, now. Ainsley didn't move, neither did Brennan. I said get in, Brennan. Cormac's voice softened. Barely. Before I drag you in myself. Ainsley looked at Brennan. He nodded. They stepped through the doorway. The door slammed shut behind them. Inside the clubhouse was warm, too warm after the freezing rain. Ainsley started shaking, not from cold, from shock, from the reality of what almost happened. What did happen? She looked around, concrete floors, pool table in the corner, bar against one wall, motorcycles in various states of repair, men everywhere. Big men, tattooed, scarred, dangerous looking. One of them stepped forward, younger than Cormac, maybe 35, dark hair and kind eyes that didn't match the rest of him. Boss, what's happening? Declan, get blankets, Cormac's voice was command. No question. Sullivan, hot chocolate. Move. The men scattered. Cormac crouched down in front of Ainsley. His knees cracked. He ignored it. What's your name? Ainsley. Her voice was barely there. Ainsley O'Malley. I'm Cormac. People call me Bull. This is my clubhouse. He paused. You're safe here. You understand safe. Ainsley wanted to believe him. Couldn't quite manage it. Trust was a luxury she'd lost 14 months ago. Cormac saw the doubt in her eyes. Recognized it. Who did this to you, Ainsley? She looked at Brennan. He nodded again. Permission, support. His name is Dalton Hayes. He was my mom's boyfriend. She died. He took us in. He hurt Brennan, made him deliver drugs. Tonight her voice caught. Take your time. Tonight he grabbed me, started pulling me toward his bedroom. He was going to hurt me. Worse than he hurt Brennan. Worse than anything before. Tears started falling. Ainsley didn't notice. Brennan hit him with a bottle. We ran. Cormac's jaw tightened, his hands curled into fists. Behind him, the other men went still. Silent. Declan returned with blankets, wrapped one around Ainsley's shoulders. She was still shaking. The blanket helped. Not enough, but some. Sullivan brought hot chocolate in a chipped mug. Steam rising, marshmallows melting on top. Ainsley took it. The warmth seeped into her frozen fingers. Drink, Cormac said. You're safe, both of you. A door opened at the back of the clubhouse. A woman emerged, older, 60 maybe, silver hair braided down her back, lines around her eyes that spoke of laughter and grief in equal measure. She saw Ainsley and stopped. Oh, mija. The word came out soft, breaking. Oh, sweet girl. The woman crossed the room, knelt beside Cormac, looked at Ainsley with eyes that understood everything without being told. I'm Moira, she said. Can I see your feet, sweetheart? Ainsley looked down. For the first time, she really saw them. Cut, bleeding, mud and blood mixed together until she couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. They hurt, Ainsley whispered. I know, baby. I know. Let's get you cleaned up. Moira looked at Cormac. Something passed between them. Understanding. Agreement. Cormac stood. Declan first aid kit, Sullivan watched the gate. If anyone comes looking for these kids, I want to know immediately. On it, Moira guided Ainsley toward the back room. Brennan started to follow. You too, Moira said to him. That lip needs attention. The back room was small, clean. A cot against one wall, a chair, a lamp. Moira sat Ainsley down, knelt in front of her, opened the first aid kit. This might sting, she warned. She started cleaning Ainsley's feet, gentle, careful, every touch precise. Ainsley watched her. This woman who was a stranger 5 minutes ago, but felt like something more, something Ainsley desperately needed. Where's your mom? Moira asked softly. Dead, 14 months ago, overdose. Moira's hands stilled, just for a second, then continued their work. I'm sorry, sweetheart. That's too heavy for someone your age to carry. Brennan helped. He always helps. Your brother loves you very much. I know. Ainsley paused. Is Dalton going to find us? Moira looked up, met Ainsley's eyes. Probably, she said. Honest, no sugarcoating. Men like him don't let go easy. But here's what matters. You're not alone anymore. You understand. You've got Cormac. You've got me. You've got every man in this clubhouse. We protect our own. I'm not yours. You are now. Something in Moira's voice made it true, made it real. Ainsley started crying, not the silent tears from before. Real crying, sobs that shook her whole body. Moira pulled her close, let her cry, didn't try to stop it, didn't say empty things like it's okay because it wasn't okay. Wouldn't be okay for a long time. She just held on. Brennan stood in the doorway watching, his own face wet, his own body shaking. When Ainsley finally stopped, Moira pulled back, wiped the tears from Ainsley's face with callous thumbs. Better. Ainsley nodded, not because it was true, because Moira needed to hear it. Good. Now let's get you some warm clothes. Can't have you catching pneumonia on top of everything else. Moira found clothes somewhere, too big. An old t-shirt that hung to Ainsley's knees, sweatpants with a drawstring pulled tight, socks, thick ones. Ainsley changed while Moira gave her privacy. The dry clothes felt like a miracle. When she came out, Cormac was there. Food's ready, he said. You need to eat. I'm not hungry. Didn't ask if you were hungry. Said you need to eat. It wasn't cruelty. It was care, tough care, the kind that understood sometimes people needed to be pushed towards survival. They walked to the main room. A table had been set. Sandwiches, chips, 2 cans of Coke. Ainsley sat, picked up a sandwich, took a bite, chewed mechanically, tasted nothing. But she ate, because Cormac said to, because some part of her recognized authority that came from protection, not fear. Brennan ate too, wolfed down 2 sandwiches like he'd been starving. Maybe he had been. The door at the front burst open. Every man in the room turned, hands moved to weapons, positions taken. Ainsley's heart stopped, but it wasn't Dalton. A figure stepped in, silhouette against the rain, man-shaped. Then the light caught his face. Cormac, the voice was rough. Got a situation. What kind? Truck just pulled up outside the gate. 3 men. One of them's asking about 2 kids. Says they're his. Says they ran away. Says he just wants them back. Silence. Cormac looked at Ainsley. She looked back. Terror in her eyes. That him. Ainsley couldn't speak. Could only numb. Cormac stood. How many men we got here? 6 counting you. Good enough. Cormac pulled on his leather vest. Patches caught the light. Hell's Angels. O'Brien. Other symbols Ainsley didn't understand. Everyone out. Sullivan, get Ainsley and her brother to the safe room. No. Ainsley's voice surprised everyone, including herself. I want to see. Kid, please. Stronger now. I need to see. I need to know you are really going to make him leave. Cormac studied her, saw something in that 9-year-old face that reminded him of Sarah. Courage wrapped in fear, determination born from desperation. All right, but you stay behind me, you don't speak, you don't move. Understand? Yes. They walked outside, 6 men, Cormac in front, Ainsley behind him, small, nearly invisible. At the gate, a truck sat idling, engine running, headlights cutting through rain. The driver's door opened. Dalton Hayes stepped out. He was big, bigger than Ainsley remembered. Blood still matted his hair where Brennan's bottle had connected. His face was twisted, rage and chemicals mixing into something inhuman. "I know they're here," Dalton's voice carried across the yard. "I saw their tracks in the mud. Give them back." Cormac walked to the gate, didn't open it, stood on his side. Dalton on the other. "Don't know what you're talking about." "Don't play games with me." Dalton stepped closer. "Those are my kids, my property. I want them back. Now." "First off, they're not your property." Cormac's voice was ice. "Nobody is. Second, there's no kids here. Third, you're trespassing. I suggest you leave." "You don't want to do this." Dalton's hands curled into fists. "You don't know who you're messing with. I've got connections. I've got Deputy Briggs. You touch me, you've got problems." "Deputy Briggs isn't here. And even if he was, I don't think he'd be too eager to help once the FBI hears about the packages your stepson's been running. The routes, the buyers, that little incident outside the 7-Eleven that magically disappeared." Dalton went still. Surprise flickered across his face. Then calculation. "You're bluffing. Try me." Behind Cormac, Ainsley watched. She could see Dalton's face, the rage building, the violence coiling. She'd seen that look before, right before he hit Brennan, right before he broke things, right before he became a monster. Part of her wanted to hide, wanted to run back inside and pretend this wasn't happening. But a bigger part needed to see, needed to know if Cormac was really strong enough to keep Dalton away. Dalton's hand moved to his pocket. Every man behind Cormac tensed. Weapons appeared, guns, knives, a baseball bat. Dalton saw, froze, his hand came out empty. "This isn't over," he said, voice shaking with barely controlled fury. "I will get them back. Those kids are mine. I raised them. I fed them. They owe me. They don't owe you shit. The law's on my side. I'm their legal guardian. You keep them, you're harboring runaways. Kidnapping, that's federal." Cormac smiled. No warmth, no humor. Pure predator. "Here is what's going to happen, Dalton. You're going to get back in that truck. You're going to drive away. And you're going to forget those kids exist. Because if you come back here, if you send anyone else, if you even think about those children again, I will end you." "You're threatening me." "I'm making a promise, not to you, to that little girl you tried to drag into your bedroom. The one you thought you could hurt because she was small and scared and had no one to protect her." Cormac leaned forward. "She's got someone now. She's got me. She's got every man in this clubhouse. So yeah, I'm promising. You come back, you don't leave." Silence. Rain fell. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Dalton looked past Cormac, trying to see into the shadows, trying to find Ainsley. She stepped forward. Not much, just enough to be visible. Met his eyes. Dalton's face twisted. "Ainsley, baby, come on. Let's go home. I'm sorry, I was drunk. It was a mistake. It won't happen again." Ainsley's mouth opened. Words formed, clear, strong. "You're not sorry. You're never sorry, and I'm not going back. Ever." The words hit like bullets. Dalton's face went red, then purple. He took a step toward the gate. 6 men moved, 6 guns raised. Dalton stopped, looked at Cormac, at the men, at the clubhouse behind them, looked at Ainsley, at the 9-year-old who just told him no. "This isn't over," he repeated, but his voice had changed, less certain, more afraid. He got back in the truck, slammed the door, tires spun in mud. The truck disappeared into darkness. Cormac watched until the taillights were gone, then kept watching. "He'll be back," Declan said quietly. "I know. Probably with more guys, maybe Briggs too. Then we'll be ready." They walked back inside. Ainsley's legs were shaking, adrenaline dump, delayed shock. Moira caught her as she stumbled. "Easy, mija, I've got you." "I told him no," and Ainsley's voice was wonder. "I told him no, and he left." "You did. You were very brave. He's coming back." "Probably, but you're not alone anymore. Remember." Ainsley nodded, but her hands were shaking, her whole body trembling. Moira guided her to the back room, helped her lie down on the cot. pulled blankets up. Sleep, Moira said. I'll be right outside. I don't think I can sleep. Try anyway. Moira started to leave. Wait, Ainsley's voice was small. Can you stay just for a little while? Something in Moira's face softened, broke open. Of course, sweetheart. Of course, Wiram. She sat in the chair beside the cot, reached out, took Ainsley's hand. Ainsley held on tight. Will you tell me something? Ainsley whispered. Anything. Why are you helping us? You don't know us. We're nobody. Moira was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice carried weight. 20 years ago, I had a son, Patrick. He worked in the copper mines outside of town. Same mines his father worked. Same mines his grandfather worked. She paused. There was an accident. Cave-in. They found him 3 days later. He was 23 years old. Ainsley's grip tightened. I'm sorry. So am I, every day. Moira's thumb traced circles on Ainsley's hand. I couldn't save him, couldn't protect him from the mines, or the company that cut corners, or the system that didn't care about worker safety. I was helpless. That's not your fault. Maybe, maybe not. But it's how I feel, and I've carried that helplessness for 2 decades. Moira looked at Ainsley, really looked. Then tonight, a little girl shows up at our door, barefoot, bleeding, asking for one night of safety. And I can help. I can do something. I can be what I wasn't for Patrick. I'm not your son. No, but you're a child who needs protecting. And I'm a woman who needs to protect someone. So maybe we help each other. Ainsley understood. Broken pieces fitting together. Not fixing anything, just making the weight easier to carry. Thank you, she whispered. Sleep, mija. Tomorrow we figure out what comes next. Tonight you just rest. Ainsley closed her eyes, didn't think she'd sleep. But exhaustion won. The last thing she remembered was Moira's hand in hers. Warm, steady, safe. In the main room, Cormac stood at the window, watching the gate, watching the road. Brennan approached, hesitant. Mr. O'Brien. Just Cormac. Cormac, I don't know how to thank you for everything. Don't thank me yet. Long fight ahead. I know, but you helped when you didn't have to, when anyone else would have turned us away. Brennan's voice cracked. Why? Cormac was quiet, thinking about Sarah, about the diary, about all the ways he'd failed her. I had a daughter once, he said finally. Katie, beautiful girl, smart, had her whole life ahead of her. What happened? Drunk driver, 8 years ago, she was 19. I'm sorry. So am I. Cormac turned to look at Brennan. But that's not why I helped you. Then why? Because when my daughter was 9 years old, she tried to tell me something important, something that scared her. And I didn't listen. I told her she was being dramatic, making things up. I didn't believe her. His hands clenched. 10 years later, she died. I found her diary page after page about what happened, about how I didn't protect her. Didn't believe her. Brennan said nothing. Tonight, your sister knocked on my door and asked for help. She was 9 years old, same age as Sarah when she tried to talk to me. Cormac's voice roughened. This time I listened. Understanding dawned in Brennan's eyes. You're not doing this for us. I'm doing it for all of us. For you, for Ainsley, for Sarah, for every kid who asked for help and got turned away. Cormac put a hand on Brennan's shoulder. You did good tonight, protecting your sister. That took courage. I should have done it sooner. Should have gotten her out months ago. You were 15 years old alone, terrified. You did what you could. That's all any of us can do. What happens now? Now we fight, lawyers, courts, system, whatever it takes. And if the system doesn't work, Cormac's smile was grim, then we make our own justice. They stood in silence, 2 people connected by loss and determination. Outside, the rain continued, washing away tracks, washing away blood, washing away everything except the choice made tonight. In the back room, Ainsley slept, dreamed of fire and shadows and a man with kind eyes who said she mattered. In her hand, clutched tight even in sleep, was Buttons the rabbit, missing one ear, held together by threads, but still whole, still hers. On the nightstand beside the cot, Moira had left paper and colored pencils. Simple things, but sometimes simple things held power. When Ainsley woke in a few hours, she would reach for those pencils, would draw something from deep inside, something that represented hope and strength and survival. She would draw a dragon, red scales, fierce eyes, wings spread wide in protection. That dragon would become her symbol, her anchor, the thing she held on to when everything else fell apart. But that was still to come. For now, in this moment, Ainsley O'Malley slept in a room full of strangers who were becoming family. Safe. For the first time in 14 months. Safe. Outside, Cormac kept watch. Declan checked weapons. Sullivan monitored cameras. They were ready. When Dalton Hayes came back, and he would come back, they would be waiting. But tonight belonged to a 9-year-old girl who found the courage to knock on a door and ask for help. Tonight belonged to a brother who loved his sister enough to fight. Tonight belonged to broken people choosing to protect someone more broken. The door had opened, everything changed. And in that small back room, surrounded by the sound of rain and the warmth of blankets and the presence of people who cared in Ainsley, O'Malley took her first full breath in over a year. Tomorrow would bring challenges, legal battles, Dalton's revenge, court hearings, trauma to process, healing to begin. But tomorrow was tomorrow. Tonight she was safe. That was enough. That was everything. Morning came gray and cold. Ainsley woke to unfamiliar sounds, men's voices. The rumble of motorcycle engines, the smell of coffee and something frying. For 3 seconds, she didn't remember where she was. Then it all crashed back. Dalton, running, the clubhouse, Cormac's eyes, Moira's hands cleaning her feet. She sat up. The back room was small but clean. Sunlight filtered through a high window. The paper and colored pencils Moira had left sat on the nightstand. Ainsley reached for them without thinking. Her hand moved across the paper. No plan, no conscious decision. Just movement. Lines became curves. Curves became scales. Scales became wings. 20 minutes later, she stared at what she'd created. A dragon. Red. Fierce. Wings spread wide. Eyes that saw everything and feared nothing. It wasn't perfect. The proportions were off. A 9-year-old's skill. But something about it felt right. Felt powerful. That's beautiful. Ainsley jumped. Moira stood in the doorway, 2 cups in her hands, steam rising. I didn't mean to scare you, mija. Brought you hot chocolate. Ainsley took the cup. The warmth spread through her fingers. I like your dragon, Moira said. Strong creature. Protects what it loves. I don't know why I drew it. Sometimes our hearts know things before our heads catch up. Moira sat on the edge of the cot. How'd you sleep? Better than I thought I would. Good. You hungry? Ainsley's stomach answered for her, a loud growl that made Moira smile. Come on, Declan made breakfast. Fair warning, he can't cook worth a damn, but it's edible. They walked to the main room. Brennan was already there, sitting at the table with a plate of scrambled eggs and toast. His face looked better. The swelling had gone down. The bruises were still there, but fading from purple to yellow. He looked up when Ainsley entered. Relief flooded his expression. You okay? Yeah, I'm good. They were lying to each other. Both knew it, but sometimes lies were kindness. Ainsley sat. Moira brought her a plate. The eggs were indeed bad, overcooked and underseasoned, but Ainsley ate anyway. Food was food. Safety was safety. Cormac emerged from a back office. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept. Probably hadn't. We need to talk, he said. Both of you. He led them to the office. Small room. Desk covered in papers. Leather chair. 2 folding chairs across from it. A woman sat in one of the folding chairs. She was maybe 58. Sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Gray hair cut in a no-nonsense style. Suit that had seen better days but still held authority. She stood when they entered. Extended her hand to Ainsley first, not Brennan. Ainsley. Catherine Brennan? People call me Kate. I'm a lawyer. I help kids who need help. Ainsley shook her hand. Kate's grip was firm, confident. Can I sit down? Kate asked. Ainsley nodded. They all sat. Kate pulled out a notepad, looked at Ainsley with eyes that had seen too much suffering, but still carried hope. I'm not gonna lie to you, Kate said. This is going to be hard. I need to know things you don't want to tell me. I need to hear things you've probably tried to forget. But if you want to stay safe, if you want to make sure Dalton Hayes never touches either of you again, I need the truth. All of it. Ainsley looked at Brennan. He nodded. Permission. Support. Okay, Ainsley said. What do you want to know? Start from the beginning. Your mother. When did she die? 14 months ago, October 17th. The date was burned into Ainsley's memory. Overdose. I found her in the bathroom. Kate wrote nothing, just listened. How old were you? 8, almost 9? And what happened after? Social worker came. Ms. Patterson. She asked if we had family. We didn't. She said we'd have to go into foster care. Separate placements because of our ages. Ainsley's hands twisted in her lap. Then Dalton showed up. Tell me about that. He said he was Mom's boyfriend. Said he'd been away for work, but he was back now. He had papers, legal stuff. Miss Patterson looked at them for like 30 seconds and said, okay. Ainsley's voice hardened. She was relieved. One less case to process. Did Ms. Patterson do any follow-up home visits? One a month later, Dalton cleaned into the trailer, made us clean too, put food in the fridge, acted nice. She stayed 20 minutes, asked if we were okay. We said yes because Dalton was right there, and his eyes told us what would happen if we said no. She never came back. Never. Kate's jaw tightened. When did the abuse start? Ainsley was quiet. The memories pressed against her skull. Sharp. Painful. That night, after Miss Patterson left, I forgot to wash the dishes. Dalton grabbed Brennan by the hair and smashed his face into the counter. Broke his nose. Blood everywhere. Brennan looked away, ashamed, like it was his fault. He hit Brennan a lot after that. Any excuse, sometimes no excuse, just because he felt like it. Did he hit you? Sometimes not as much as Brennan. Brennan always got between us, took the worst of it. Ainsley's voice dropped. But Dalton hurt me other ways. What ways? Ainsley hesitated. This was the part she'd never told Brennan. The part she'd kept hidden because saying it out loud made it too real. He'd grab my arm, hard, leave bruises shaped like fingers. He'd pull my hair, push me into walls. One time he shoved me and I hit my head on the kitchen counter. I had a bump for a week. Brennan's face went white. Ainsley, you never told me. You were already getting hurt because of me. I didn't want to make it worse. That's not how it works. That's how it felt. Kate leaned forward. Ainsley, I need you to tell me about the girls. The room went still. Ainsley's heart started pounding. How do you know about the girls? Brennan told me, but I need to hear it from you. Everything you remember. Ainsley took a breath. They started showing up about 6 months ago, young, 13, 14, 15. Dalton said they were cousins, nieces, friends' kids who needed a place to stay. How many? 6, maybe 7. I'm not sure. They never stayed long, a day or two. Then they were gone. Did you talk to any of them? One, Ainsley reached into her pocket, pulled out the bracelet. Cheap metal, fake gems. Her name was Bridget O'Connor. She was 14, red hair, black eye that was almost healed. Kate stared at the bracelet. Something shifted in her expression. What did Bridget say to you? She found me in the hallway one night, said I seemed like a good kid, said not to trust Dalton or any of them, said they weren't taking her to California like they promised. Ainsley's voice shook. She gave me this bracelet, said remember me. I never saw her again. Do you know what happened to her? No. But I can guess. The silence stretched, heavy, terrible. Kate set down her pen, looked at Ainsley with something like awe. You're very brave, Ainsley. I'm not brave. I knew something was wrong and I didn't do anything. I didn't help them. You were 8 years old. What could you have done? Something, anything, called someone, told someone. Who would you have told? Ms. Patterson, who didn't care, Deputy Briggs, who worked for Dalton. You were a child in an impossible situation. Survival isn't cowardice. The words didn't make the guilt go away, but they helped, a little. The office door opened. A man entered. 35, dark suit, FBI badge on his belt. Agent Callahan, Kate said. This is Ainsley O'Malley and her brother Brennan. Callahan shook their hands. His grip was gentle, careful. like he understood they were breakable. "I've been investigating Dalton Hayes for 18 months, Callahan said. Drug trafficking, money laundering. We had him on those. But we suspected something worse." "What do you mean worse?" Ainsley asked. Callahan pulled out a folder, set it on the desk, opened it. Photographs, faces, young girls, smiling school pictures, missing person posters, 19 of them. Ainsley's blood went cold. "We believe Dalton Hayes has been trafficking young girls across state lines, selling them to buyers in California, Arizona, New Mexico. Of these 19 girls, we've been able to rescue 9. The other 10 are still missing." Ainsley stared at the photos. Bridget was there, smiling in her school picture, alive in that moment, before Dalton. "You could have been number 20, Callahan said quietly, "if your brother hadn't stopped him, if you hadn't run." The weight of it crushed down on Ainsley. 20 girls. She could have been 20. "I need your help," Callahan continued. "Both of you. Your testimony could break this case open. Help us find the other girls. Make sure Dalton never hurts anyone again." Brennan spoke first. "What do you need?" "Everything you remember. Addresses where you delivered packages. Names of people you saw. License plate numbers. Anything." "I can do that." Callahan looked at Ainsley. "What about you? Can you help us?" Ainsley thought about Bridget, about the fear in her eyes, about the bracelet that was supposed to help someone remember. "Yes," she said, "I'll help." Over the next 3 hours they talked. Ainsley described every girl she remembered, what they looked like, what they wore, things they said. Callahan took notes, asked clarifying questions, treated Ainsley like her memory mattered, like she mattered. When they finished, Ainsley was exhausted, wrung out. Kate walked them back to the main room. "You did good today, both of you. This isn't easy." "What happens now?" Ainsley asked. "Now I file for emergency custody, get you placed under temporary protective care while we build a case against Dalton." "How long will that take?" "Days. Maybe a week. The system moves slow, but we'll get there." Ainsley wanted to believe her. That afternoon, Moira found Ainsley in the back room, staring at her dragon drawing. "Want to talk?" Moira asked. "Not really. Want company while you don't talk." That made Ainsley smile, small but real. "Yeah, that'd be good." Moira sat. They existed in comfortable silence for a while. "I never told Brennan," Ainsley said finally, "about Dalton hurting me. I thought if I stayed quiet, if I just dealt with it, Brennan wouldn't get hurt as bad." "You were trying to protect him." "I was stupid." "No, you were 9 years old and doing the best you could." Moira's voice was firm. "Don't carry guilt that isn't yours to carry." "Then whose is it?" "Dalton's, Miss Patterson's, Deputy Briggs's, every adult who should have protected you and didn't." Moira paused. "But not yours, mija. Never yours." Ainsley wanted to believe that, tried to, couldn't quite manage it. "Can I tell you something?" Moira asked. "Okay. 20 years ago, my son Patrick died in a mining accident. Cave-in. They found him 3 days later." Moira's voice was steady, practiced, like she'd told this story many times. "For years I blamed myself. Should have convinced him to find other work. Should have fought the mining company harder. Should have done something. It wasn't your fault." "No, but guilt doesn't care about logic. It just sits there, heavy, crushing." Moira looked at Ainsley. "What finally helped was realizing I couldn't change the past, could only choose what to do with the present. I could let the guilt destroy me, or I could honor Patrick by helping others." "Is that why you're here at the clubhouse?" "Partly. My husband Duncan worked here before he died. The club took care of me after, gave me purpose, family." Moira smiled. "And sometimes little girls show up who need someone. That helps too." Ainsley understood. Broken pieces fitting together. 3 days passed. Ainsley learned the rhythms of the clubhouse. Mornings with Moira, afternoons watching Declan work on motorcycles, evenings with Brennan rebuilding the connection that had frayed under Dalton's roof. She drew more dragons, different poses, different colors, all fierce, all protective. On the 4th morning, Kate returned. Her face was grim. "We have a problem," she said. They gathered in Cormac's office. Ainsley, Brennan, Cormac, Kate. "Judge Rutledge reviewed the emergency custody petition," Kate said. "He denied it." Silence. What does that mean? Ainsley asked. It means he's ordering you to return to Dalton within 48 hours. The world tilted. No, Ainsley's voice was small. No, he can't. He did, ruled that Dalton is your legal guardian, that there's insufficient evidence of abuse, that you and Brennan are runaways who need to go home. Rutledge is dirty, Cormac said. Has to be. Dalton got to him. Probably. But proving that takes time we don't have. Kate's jaw was tight. I'm filing an emergency appeal. But Ainsley, I need you to understand, this could get worse before it gets better. How much worse? If we don't win the appeal, the state could charge Cormac with harboring runaways, kidnapping even. They could shut down the clubhouse, arrest everyone involved. Ainsley looked at Cormac, at the man who'd opened his door, who'd kept her safe. I won't let that happen, she said. Kid, no, I won't. Ainsley stood, walked to the office door, opened it. The main room was full of club members. Declan, Sullivan, others whose names she was still learning. Can I talk to everyone? Ainsley asked. Cormac nodded. The men gathered, confused, curious. Ainsley stood in front of them, 9 years old, barely 4 feet tall, facing down grown men who'd lived hard lives. Judge Rutledge says I have to go back to Dalton, she announced. Her voice didn't shake. Says there's not enough evidence. Says I'm a runaway. Murmurs rippled through the room. If I go to the courthouse tomorrow, if I tell the judge what Dalton did, maybe he'll listen. Maybe he'll believe me. Ainsley, no, hey, Brennan said. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. She turned to face him. Mom died because no one listened to her. Because the system didn't care about one more addict. I'm not going to be one more kid who disappears because the system's broken. She looked at Cormac. If you send me back, Dalton will hurt me. Worse than before. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. Her hands clenched. But if I go to court, if I stand in front of that judge and tell him what Dalton tried to do, what he did to Bridget and those other girls, maybe it'll matter. Maybe I can be the voice they didn't have. The room was silent. Then Cormac spoke. You're 9 years old. You shouldn't have to fight this battle. I know, but I'm the only one who can. Something passed between them. Understanding. Respect. All right, Cormac said. We go to court together. The next morning, they drove to the courthouse. Kate in her car, Cormac Ainsley and Brennan in his truck. 3 other club members following in case of trouble. The courthouse was old, stone and concrete. Intimidating. Inside was worse. Fluorescent lights, tile floors, the smell of disinfectant and desperation. Judge Rutledge's courtroom was on the 3rd floor. They entered, took seats in the gallery. At the plaintiff's table sat Dalton Hayes. He'd cleaned up, shaved, suit that almost fit, playing the role of concerned stepfather. His eyes found Ainsley, smiled, cold, calculating. Ainsley's stomach turned, but she didn't look away. The bailiff called the room to order. Judge Rutledge entered. 60, gray hair, face that had forgotten how to smile. This is an emergency custody hearing regarding the minor children, Ainsley O'Malley, age 9, and Brennan O'Malley, age 15. His voice was dry, bored. I've reviewed the filings from both parties. He looked at Dalton's table. Mr. Hayes, you're claiming these children were taken from your home by force. Dalton stood. His lawyer, a thin man with nervous hands, stood with him. That's correct, Your Honor. My stepson assaulted me and fled with my stepdaughter. I just want my kids back. I love them. I've been taking care of them since their mother died. And you, the judge turned to Kate, you're claiming abuse. Kate stood. Yes, Your Honor, extensive physical abuse, forced labor, and attempted sexual assault on the minor child Ainsley. Do you have evidence? Medical records, witness testimony, and I'd like to call Ainsley O'Malley to testify. The judge frowned. She's 9 years old. There you see. She's also the victim. She has a right to be heard. Silence. Then Rutledge nodded. Call your witness. Kate looked at Ainsley. You ready? Ainsley stood, walked to the witness stand. Her legs shook but held. The bailiff approached with a Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. She sat. The chair was too big. Her feet didn't touch the floor. She felt tiny, Powerless. Then she looked at the gallery, at Cormac, at Moira who'd slipped in, at Brennan. She wasn't powerless. Not anymore. Kate approached. Ainsley, can you tell the court your relationship to Dalton Hayes? He was my mom's boyfriend. He became our guardian after she died. And what was your life like with Mr. Hayes? Ainsley took a breath. He hurt Brennan a lot. Hit him, broke his nose, made him deliver drugs for money. Dalton's lawyer jumped up. Objection, hearsay, speculation. Overruled. The witness may answer. Did Mr. Hayes ever hurt you? Kate asked. Yes, he'd grab my arm, pull my hair, push me. One time he shoved me into the counter and I hit my head. Did you tell anyone? No, I was scared and I thought if I stayed quiet, Brennan wouldn't get hurt as bad. Kate moved closer. Ainsley, what happened on the night you ran away? This was it, the moment that mattered. Ainsley looked at Dalton, at the man who'd haunted her nightmares, who'd stolen her childhood, who'd tried to take even more. Dalton came home drunk, high too. He looked at me different than before, like I was a thing, not a person. Her voice strengthened. He grabbed my arm and started dragging me to his bedroom. I tried to pull away. He said it was time I paid my way, that he'd fed me and clothed me, and now I owed him. The courtroom was dead silent. What happened next? I screamed. Brennan heard. He hit Dalton with a bottle. We ran. Why did you run to the hellsangels clubhouse? Because I'd heard Dalton was scared of them. It was the only place I thought he wouldn't follow. Kate turned to the judge. Your Honor, this child was about to be sexually assaulted by her legal guardian. Her brother saved her life, and now you're ordering her to return to that man. Judge Rutledge's expression didn't change. Is there physical evidence of this alleged assault? It didn't get that far. Her brother intervened. Then it's her word against Mr. Hayes's. She's 9 years old. What reason would she have to lie? Children lie. They make up stories. They misinterpret adult actions. The judge looked at Ainsley. Young lady, isn't it possible you misunderstood Mr. Hayes's intentions? Ainsley stared at him. At this man in a robe who was supposed to protect children, who was choosing not to believe her. Something inside her snapped. She stood up in the witness box, not aloud, didn't care. I didn't misunderstand anything, she said. Her voice rang through the courtroom. Dalton Hayes grabbed me, dragged me toward his bedroom, said I owed him, said it was time to pay. I know what he meant. I'm 9, but I'm not stupid. Sit down, young lady. No. Ainsley's hands clenched the railing. You are going to send me back to him. I know you are, because you don't care. Just like Ms. Patterson didn't care. Just like Deputy Briggs didn't care. Just like every adult who should have protected me didn't care. Young lady, but I'm not going quietly. If you send me back, I'll run again. And again. Until someone listens. Until someone believes me. Tears ran down her face. My mom died because no one listened to her. I'm not going to die because you won't listen to me. The silence was absolute. Judge Rutledge's face had gone red. Sit down, now. Make me. For 10 seconds, no one moved. Then the judge's gavel came down. This court orders that Ainsley O'Malley and Brennan O'Malley be returned to the custody of Dalton Hayes within 24 hours. Failure to comply will result in criminal charges against all parties currently harboring these minors. He stood, left the courtroom. Ainsley stood in the witness box, shaking, crying. She'd lost, tried her best and lost. Kate rushed to her. You were incredible, so brave. But he didn't listen. No, he didn't. Cormac appeared, lifted Ainsley down from the witness stand, held her while she cried. We're not done, he said. This isn't over. But it felt over. They drove back to the clubhouse in silence. Ainsley stared out the window, watched the desert pass by, wondered if this would be the last time she saw it as a free person. At the clubhouse, an emergency meeting, all the club members. Kate, Agent Callahan, who'd arrived while they were gone. We have 24 hours, Kate said. I'm filing appeals, calling in every favor I have. But realistically, the system's going to side with Rutledge. So what do we do? Declan asked. Everyone looked at Cormac. He looked at Ainsley. What do you want? He asked her. I want to stay here, with you. With Moira. With Brennan. I want to be safe. Then that's what we do. But the judge is wrong, and I'm not handing you over to a child molester because some corrupt official signed a piece of paper. Cormac's voice was iron. You stay. We deal with the consequences. They'll arrest you, Kate warned. Let them treat it. That night, Ainsley couldn't sleep. She lay in the back room, staring at the ceiling, listening to men's voices planning, strategizing, fighting for her. Around midnight, Moira came in, sat on the edge of the cot. Can't sleep either, Moira asked. Too much in my head. Want to talk about it? Ainsley was quiet. Then why does the judge believe Dalton instead of me? Because the system's broken, mija, built by people who never had to be afraid, who never had to wonder if the person supposed to protect them would hurt them instead. That's not fair. No, it's not. I told the truth. I was brave, and it didn't matter. It mattered, maybe not to Judge Rutledge, but it mattered to everyone in that courtroom. To Cormac, to me, to your brother. Moira took Ainsley's hand. And it'll matter when this is over. When Dalton's in prison and you're safe. You planted seeds today. They'll grow. What if they don't grow fast enough? Moira had no answer for that. They sat in silence, holding hands, waiting for a tomorrow that felt uncertain. At 3:47 a.m., everything changed. Ainsley jerked awake. Smell. Something wrong. Smoke. She sat up. Smoke was seeping under the door. Fire! Her scream cut through the night. Fire! The door burst open. Declan, face covered with a bandana. Come on, now! He grabbed Ainsley, carried her out of the room. The main clubhouse was chaos. Flames climbed the back wall. Smoke filled the air. Men running with fire extinguishers. Shouting. Confusion. Where's Brennan? Ainsley screamed. Outside, safe. You are the last one. Declan carried her through the smoke, through the door, into cold night air. Outside, Brennan grabbed her, held her tight. You okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. What happened? Cormac approached, face grim. Someone cut the fence, poured gasoline along the back wall, set it. Dalton? Probably, but he didn't do it himself. Sent people. The fire department arrived, controlled the blaze before it consumed the whole building. But the damage was done. The back third of the clubhouse was gutted, black and smoking. On the wall that wasn't burned, spray-painted in red, return, what's ours, or burn with them. Ainsley stared at the message, at the threat made real. They tried to kill her, burn her alive while she slept. Something inside Ainsley shifted. Fear transformed into fury. I'm testifying, she said. Everyone turned to look at her, and Agent Callahan said he needed testimony. I'll give it. Everything about the girls, about Bridget, about what Dalton did. Her voice was steel. I'm not running anymore. I'm not hiding. I'm fighting back. Ainsley, you're 9 years old, Brennan said. You don't have to. Yes, I do, because if I don't, he wins, and I'm done letting him win. Cormac knelt in front of her. You understand what this means, federal trial. Dalton's lawyers coming after you, making you relive everything. I understand. You sure? Ainsley looked at the burned clubhouse, at the message, at the proof that Dalton would never stop. I'm sure. Agent Callahan stepped forward. I'll make some calls, get protection, make sure you're safe while we build the case. How long? 2 months, maybe 3. Can you hold on that long? Ainsley thought about Bridget, about 19 girls, about every child Dalton had hurt. I can hold on as long as it takes. That morning, as the sun rose over the burned clubhouse, Agent Callahan made arrests. Deputy Briggs, picked up at home, charged with obstruction, conspiracy, trafficking. 3 men who set the fire, caught on security cameras Dalton didn't know existed, and buried in one of their phone's text messages. From Dalton, ordering the hit, offering money, evidence, real evidence. Kate arrived at noon with news. Judge Abernathy is taking over the case. Rutledge recused himself after the fire, said it was a conflict of interest, she smiled, which is legal speak for I don't want to be connected to attempted murder. What does that mean? Ainsley asked. It means you get a fair hearing, a real one, tomorrow morning. Judge Abernathy wants to hear from you personally. Can we win? We have a chance, a real chance. That night, Ainsley sat with her dragon drawing, added to it, made the wings bigger, the fire fiercer. Brennan found her there. Can I come in? Yeah. He sat beside her. They didn't speak for a while. I'm sorry, Brennan finally said. For what? For not knowing, about Dalton hurting you. I should have seen, should have protected you better. You protected me every day. Took beatings meant for me. Ran drugs so I wouldn't have to. Ainsley looked at him. You saved my life, Brennan. More than once, not enough times. Enough times that I'm still here. They sat together, two kids who'd survived hell, who were still surviving. Tomorrow's going to be hard, Brennan said. I know. You don't have to do this. Yeah, I do. Why? Ainsley held up the bracelet. Bridget's bracelet. Because someone has to remember. Someone has to speak. And it's my turn. Morning came too fast and too slow. Ainsley dressed carefully. Clothes Moira had bought. Clean, respectable, armor made of cotton. They drove to the courthouse again. Different courtroom this time. Judge Abernathy's chambers, smaller, more personal. The judge was already there when they entered. 60, sharp eyes, face that had seen suffering and still chose compassion. Ainsley O'Malley, she asked. Yes, ma'am. I've read your file. Read the transcripts from yesterday. Read the police reports about the fire. Judge Abernathy leaned forward. That took a lot of courage. Standing up to Judge Rutledge, speaking your truth even when no one wanted to hear it. Ainsley said nothing. I want you to know something. I believe you. What Dalton Hayes tried to do, what he's been doing, I believe every word. Something in Ainsley's chest cracked open. You do. I do. And I'm granting temporary emergency custody to Moira Gallagher with the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club as supporting guardians. Mr. Hayes' custody claim is denied pending full criminal investigation. Ainsley couldn't breathe, couldn't think. We won, she whispered. For now, this is temporary. There will be a full hearing in 60 days. But until then, you're safe, you and your brother both. Ainsley started crying. Not sad tears, relief. Pure, overwhelming relief. Kate put an arm around her. You did it, honey. You actually did it. Outside the courthouse, Cormac waited. Moira beside him. The club members flanking them. When Ainsley walked out, they knew from her face. Moira rushed forward, pulled Ainsley into a hug that felt like coming home. Welcome to the family, mija. Ainsley held on tight, let herself believe it, let herself hope. That night back at the clubhouse, they celebrated. Small party, just family. Ainsley sat with her drawing, her dragon, her symbol of strength. She'd spoken, she'd fought, she'd won. Not the war, not yet, but this battle. And tomorrow she'd keep fighting. For herself, for Brennan, for Bridget, and 19 girls who deserve justice. Tomorrow the real work began. But tonight Ainsley O'Malley was safe. And that was enough. 2 months felt like 2 years. Ainsley learned what waiting meant. Real waiting, the kind that pressed against your chest and made every day stretch into eternity. The clubhouse was being rebuilt, slowly. The burned section torn down, new walls going up, the smell of fresh lumber replacing the smell of smoke. Ainsley watched the construction every day, saw broken things becoming whole again. Wondered if people worked the same way. She saw Dr. Fiona McLeod twice a week. The therapist's office was small, comfortable, books everywhere, a couch that wasn't for lying on, just sitting. Tell me about the nightmares, Dr. McLeod said during their 5th session. Ainsley was quiet. The nightmares were private, shameful somehow. They're always the same. I'm back in the trailer. Dalton's dragging me down the hallway. I'm screaming, but no sound comes out. Brennan's there, but he can't move, can't help. And the bedroom door opens, and inside is just darkness. Nothing. Empty. What do you think the darkness means? I don't know. I think you do. Ainsley picked at the couch cushion. It means I disappeared. Like Bridget. Like those other girls. Like I stopped existing. But you didn't disappear. Almost did. Almost doesn't count. You're here. You fought. You survived. Dr. McLeod leaned forward. The nightmares will fade. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. Your brain is processing trauma. That's healthy. Normal. Doesn't feel normal. Healing never does. Ainsley started going to school, small private school on the edge of town, place that specialized in kids from hard backgrounds, kids who needed patience, understanding. She hated it at first. Too many people, too much noise, too many questions she couldn't answer. But then she met Maeve. Maeve was 10, shinny, dark hair that fell in her eyes, bruises she tried to hide under long sleeves. Ainsley recognized her immediately, recognized the fear, the way she flinched when anyone moved too fast, the way she ate like food might disappear. At lunch, Ainsley sat next to her. "Hi, I'm Ainsley." Maeve looked up, suspicious. "Maeve." They ate in silence for a while. "Your bruises," Ainsley said. "Where'd you get them?" "Fell downstairs." "That's what I used to say too." Maeve's eyes widened. "You buhia." "Yeah, my stepfather, he hurt me, hurt my brother. We got out. Helped out. We ran, found people who helped, people who believed us." Maeve's lip trembled. "Nobody believes me. My dad says I'm clumsy, says I'm lying. The teachers believe him." Ainsley reached into her pocket, pulled out a piece of paper, wrote Dr. McLeod's number on it. "Call this person, tell her Ainsley sent you. She helps kids like us." "I can't. My dad—" "Your dad doesn't have to know. You can call from school, from a friend's house, anywhere." Ainsley pushed the paper across the table. "You don't have to live like that. I know it feels impossible, but it's not." Maeve stared at the paper like it was a bomb or a lifeline. She took it. 2 weeks later, Ainsley saw Maeve in the hallway, different, lighter somehow. "I called," Maeve whispered. "Doctor McLeod came to my house, brought CPS. My dad's in jail. I'm staying with my aunt now." Ainsley felt something expand in her chest. Pride. Purpose. "Good. You deserve to be safe. Thank you for believing me. Always." At the clubhouse, Ainsley learned to fix motorcycles. Declan taught her. Patient, careful. Showed her how engines worked, how to diagnose problems, how to take apart and rebuild. "Why do you like bikes so much?" Ainsley asked one afternoon. Oil on her hands, grease under her fingernails. Declan was quiet for a moment. "Because they're honest. A bike doesn't lie, doesn't pretend. It works or it doesn't. You treat it right, it treats you right." Wish people were like that. Some are. You just gotta find them. Brennan's motorcycle was almost done. The frame had been stripped and repainted, engine rebuilt, chrome polished until it gleamed. All that was left was the paint job. Brennan showed Ainsley the design, her dragon, the one she'd drawn that first night, scaled up, professional, beautiful. "You did this?" Ainsley touched the sketch. "Declan helped, but it's your design, your dragon." Brennan paused. "Thought it should be on something permanent, something that lasts." Ainsley felt tears coming. Pushed them back. "It's perfect." The weeks crawled by. Jake Callahan kept them updated. The investigation was expanding. More girls identified. More evidence collected. Dalton's network unraveling. Deputy Briggs turned state's evidence. Gave up names, locations, bank accounts. Everything he knew in exchange for a lighter sentence. The grand jury indicted Dalton on 19 federal counts. Human trafficking, conspiracy, drug trafficking, money laundering, child abuse, assault. He wasn't getting out. Ever. But first there was the trial. Kate prepared Ainsley carefully, explained what would happen, who would be there, what questions she'd face. "Dalton's lawyer will try to shake you," Kate warned, "make you doubt yourself, make you look unreliable. That's his job." "What do I do? Tell the truth, simple, clear. Don't let him put words in your mouth." Kate's eyes were steady. "You're stronger than you think, Ainsley. You've already proven that." Ainsley wasn't sure she believed it. The night before the trial, she couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, stared at the ceiling, listened to her heart pound. Tomorrow she'd see Dalton again, face him, speak in front of hundreds of people, relive the worst night of her life. She wanted to run, wanted to hide, wanted to be anywhere but here. Around midnight, she gave up on sleep, walked out to the clubhouse yard. The night was cold, stars everywhere, desert silence. She sat on the steps, wrapped her arms around her knees. Can't sleep either. Cormac emerged from the shadows, sat beside her. Too scared, Ainsley admitted. That's normal. Doesn't feel normal. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Can I tell you something? Cormac asked. Okay. 8 years ago, my daughter Sarah died. Car accident, drunk driver. She was 19. You told me. I'm sorry. That's not the part I need to tell you. Cormac's voice was rough. When Sarah was 9, same age as you, she tried to tell me something. About our neighbor, Mr. Henderson. Said he looked at her funny. Said things that made her uncomfortable. Asked her to help him in his garage. Ainsley went still. I didn't believe her. Told her she was being dramatic. Told her Mr. Henderson was a good man. Deacon at church. Pillar of the community. Cormac's hands clenched. I told her to stop making up stories. Oh. She stopped telling me things after that. Stopped talking about anything real. We drifted apart. By the time she was 18, we barely spoke. His voice cracked. Then she died. I cleaned out her apartment. Found her diary. Ainsley waited. Page after page about Mr. Henderson. About what he did to her. About how I didn't believe her. Didn't protect her. About how she learned she was alone. Tears ran down Cormac's face. He didn't wipe them away. I'm sorry, Ainsley whispered. I put a bullet in Mr. Henderson's knee after that. Went to prison for a year. Worth it. But it didn't bring Sarah back. Didn't change the fact that when she needed me most, I chose not to listen. Why are you telling me this? Because tomorrow you're going to stand up in that courtroom and tell your truth. And there's going to be people who don't believe you, who think you're lying or confused or making it up. Cormac turned to look at her. But I want you to know that I believe you. Every single word. And nothing that happens tomorrow will change that. Something in Ainsley's chest loosened. You really think I can do this? I know you can. You're the bravest person I've ever met. I'm 9 years old. Exactly. Most adults couldn't do what you're about to do. But you can. Because you're not fighting for yourself. You're fighting for Bridget. For those 19 girls. For every kid who's ever been hurt and told they didn't matter. Cormac put his hand on her shoulder. You're giving them a voice, Ainsley. That's the most important thing anyone can do. Ainsley thought about that, about Bridget's bracelet in her pocket, about Maeve at school, about all the kids still trapped, still suffering. I'm scared, she admitted. Good. Fear means you understand what's at stake, but don't let it control you. Cormac squeezed her shoulder. Tomorrow you walk in there, you look Dalton in the eye, and you tell the truth. That's all, just the truth. What if it's not enough? It will be, because this time people are listening. They sat together until the stars started fading, until the sky turned gray with coming dawn. Then Cormac stood, held out his hand. Come on, let's get some breakfast. Big day ahead. Ainsley took his hand, let him pull her up. Inside, Moira was already cooking. Pancakes, bacon, coffee for the adults, hot chocolate for Ainsley. Brennan sat at the table, looking as exhausted as Ainsley felt. You okay? He asked. No, you sure, not even close. They ate in silence. Food tasted like cardboard, but they ate anyway, fuel for what was coming. Kate arrived at 8, suit pressed, briefcase full of documents, face that showed no fear even though Ainsley knew she felt it. Ready? Kate asked. No, never. But Ainsley nodded anyway. They drove to the federal courthouse. Different building than before. Bigger, more intimidating. Security was tight. Metal detectors, ID checks, armed marshals everywhere. Inside the courtroom was massive, high ceilings, dark wood, rows and rows of seats already filling with people. Reporters, sketch artists, families of the 19 missing girls, spectators who'd followed the case. At the defendant's table sat Dalton Hayes. Orange jumpsuit, hands shackled, face that tried to look innocent but couldn't quite manage it. His eyes found Ainsley immediately. smiled. That same cold smile, the one that used to turn her blood to ice. Ainsley's hands started shaking. Moira squeezed them. You don't have to look at him. Yes, I do. If I look away, he wins. So Ainsley stared back, met Dalton's eyes, didn't flinch. After 10 seconds, he looked away first. Small victory, but it mattered. The bailiff called the court to order. Judge Abernathy entered. Same judge from the custody hearing. Same sharp eyes. Same air of authority that came from choosing justice over convenience. This is a federal criminal trial, she announced. The United States of America versus Dalton Hayes. The defendant faces 19 counts of human trafficking, conspiracy drug trafficking, money laundering, and child abuse. Her eyes swept the courtroom. This will be difficult. The testimony will be graphic. If anyone cannot handle that, please leave now. No one moved. Very well. Prosecution, call your first witness. Agent Callahan took the stand first. He spoke for 90 minutes, laid out the entire case, the investigation, the evidence, the 19 girls. He showed photographs. Ainsley recognized some of them. Others were strangers, but all were young and all were scared in their pictures. All were gone. Of the 19 victims we've identified, Callahan said, we've been able to locate and rescue 9. They're receiving care, counseling, help. And the other 10, the prosecutor asked, still missing. We're searching, but after this much time, Callahan's voice trailed off. No one needed him to finish. The medical examiner testified next. Dr. Patricia Reeves, she'd examined Ainsley 2 months ago. The victim showed multiple contusions consistent with grabbing and restraint, Dr. Reeves said. Healed fractures in the left wrist and 2 ribs. Scarring on the upper back consistent with being struck with a belt or similar object. She showed photographs. Ainsley's body, bruises mapped and measured and turned into evidence. Ainsley looked away. Couldn't see herself like that. Broken down into injuries and documentation. In your professional opinion, the prosecutor asked, were these injuries accidental? Absolutely not. These injuries show a pattern of systematic abuse over an extended period. Minimum 6 months, possibly longer. Dalton's lawyer stood. Thin man, expensive suit, eyes like a shark. Dr. Reeves, isn't it possible these injuries came from normal childhood activities? Playing, sports, accidents. No, the pattern is too consistent, the severity too extreme. These are not playground injuries. But you can't say with absolute certainty that Mr. Hayes caused them. I can say with absolute certainty that someone did, and that same someone did it repeatedly. The morning dragged on. More witnesses, more evidence, each piece building the case higher. Then after lunch, the prosecutor called Ainsley O'Malley to the stand. The courtroom went silent. Ainsley stood. Her legs felt like water. Her heart pounded so hard she thought everyone could hear it. Brennan reached for her hand, squeezed once. Let go. Ainsley walked to the witness stand. The distance felt like miles. She passed Dalton's table. He leaned over, whispered something she couldn't hear but could guess. Threat, promise. Reminder that he could still hurt her. Ainsley kept walking. The bailiff held out the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. She sat. The chair was still too big. Her feet still didn't touch the floor. But this time she didn't feel small. The prosecutor approached. Woman in her 40s, kind eyes, gentle voice. State your name for the record, please. Ainsley O'Malley. How old are you, Ainsley? 9, almost 10. And do you know the defendant, Dalton Hayes? Ainsley looked at Dalton. He stared back. No smile now, just cold calculation. Yes, he was my mother's boyfriend. He became our guardian after she died. Tell us about your mother. What happened to her? She died 14 months ago. Overdose. I found her in the bathroom. Ainsley's voice was steady, practiced. She'd been using for a long time, since my dad left. And after she died, what happened? Social worker came, Ms. Patterson. She said me and Brennan would have to go into foster care, separate placements. Then Dalton showed up, said he'd take care of us, had papers that looked official. How did you feel about that? Scared. I didn't trust him. Something felt wrong, but I was 8 years old and I wanted to stay with my brother. So I went with him. The prosecutor moved closer. What was life like with Mr. Hayes? This was it, the part that mattered. At first it was okay. He paid rent, bought food, mostly ignored us. Then Ms. Patterson came for a home visit. Dalton made us clean, act normal, tell her everything was fine. Ainsley paused. That night after she left, he hit Brennan, broke his nose. Blood everywhere. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Did he hit you? Sometimes, not as much as Brennan. Brennan always got between us, but Dalton hurt me other ways. What ways? He'd grab my arm, hard enough to bruise, pull my hair, push me into things. One time he shoved me and my head hit the counter. I had a bump for a week. Did you tell anyone? No, I was too scared, and I thought if I stayed quiet, Brennan wouldn't get hurt as bad. The prosecutor picked up a document. The court has heard testimony that your brother was forced to deliver illegal drugs. Is that true? Yes, Dalton made him, said if Brennan didn't, we'd be split up, put in foster care, or worse. Ainsley's voice hardened. Brennan did it to protect me. He did everything to protect me. Now I need to ask you about something difficult. The night you ran away. Can you tell us what happened? Ainsley took a breath. This was the moment, the story that mattered most. Dalton came home around 10. He was drunk, high too. I could tell by his eyes, the way he moved. She looked at the jury, 12 faces, 12 strangers who would decide. He looked at me different than before, like I was a thing, not a person. What happened next? He grabbed my arm, started pulling me down the hallway toward his bedroom. I tried to pull away. He said it was time I paid my way, that he'd fed me, clothed me, given me a roof, now I owed him. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Did you understand what he meant? Yes, I'm 9, but I'm not stupid. I knew exactly what he meant. What did you do? I screamed as loud as I could. Brennan heard, came running. He grabbed a bottle and hit Dalton in the head. Then we ran. The prosecutor turned to face the jury. Let me be clear. Mr. Hayes was attempting to sexually assault this 9-year-old child when her 15-year-old brother intervened. Is that correct? Yes. Dalton's lawyer shot to his feet. Objection. Leading the witness. Sustained. Rephrase. Ainsley, in your own words, what was Mr. Hayes going to do to you? Ainsley looked at Dalton, at the man who'd stolen her childhood, her safety, her ability to trust. He was going to rape me. The word hit like a bomb. Someone in the gallery gasped. A woman started crying. Judge Abernathy had to call for order. The prosecutor waited for silence. One more question. Did you ever see other girls at Mr. Hayes's residence? Yes. How many? 6 or 7? I'm not exactly sure. They never stayed long. Did you speak to any of them? This was the moment, the twist that would break everything open. Ainsley reached into her pocket, pulled out the bracelet. Cheap metal, fake gems, worn from 2 months of carrying. One, her name was Bridget O'Connor. She was 14, red hair and freckles. Ainsley held up the bracelet. She gave me this the night before she disappeared. Agent Callahan sat forward. He hadn't known about this. No one had. What did Bridget say to you? She said they weren't really taking her to California. Said she didn't know where she was going, but it wasn't California. She gave me her bracelet and said, "Remember me." Ainsley's voice broke. I never saw her again. The prosecutor took the bracelet, examined it, showed it to the jury. Your Honor, I'd like to submit this as evidence. Defense Exhibit C. In the gallery, a woman stood up, crying, shaking. That's my daughter's bracelet. I gave it to her for her 13th birthday. That's Bridget's bracelet. Judge Abernathy looked at the woman. Ma'am, please identify yourself. Siobhan O'Connor. Bridget's mother. That's her bracelet. I swear to God, that's her bracelet. The courtroom erupted. Judge Abernathy's gavel came down. Order. Order in this court. But the damage was done. The breakthrough made. Ainsley had just provided physical evidence linking Dalton directly to one of the missing girls. The prosecutor turned to Ainsley. Thank you. No further questions. Now came the hard part. Dalton's lawyer approached, smiled, friendly, like they were having a conversation instead of a battle. "Hello, Ainsley. I'm Mr. Palmer. I just have a few questions." Ainsley said nothing. "You have quite an imagination, don't you? Your teachers say you're very creative." "I like to draw." "And you make up stories, sometimes fiction, fantasy." Ainsley saw the trap. "I draw pictures. That's different from lying. Is it, isn't your whole testimony just a story? A fiction to explain why you ran away?" "No. You expect this jury to believe that Mr. Hayes, a respected member of the community, was running a human trafficking operation out of his trailer?" "I don't expect anything. I'm just telling what happened." Palmer picked up a document. "According to school records, you've been in 3 fights this year. Isn't that evidence of behavioral problems?" "I was defending Maeve, a girl being bullied." "So you admit to violence?" "I admit to helping someone who needed help." Palmer's smile faded. This wasn't going how he planned. "This bracelet you claim belonged to Bridget O'Connor. How do we know you didn't just find it, make up a story about where it came from?" Ainsley looked at Siobhan O'Connor in the gallery, at a mother who'd lost her daughter, who'd spent 2 years not knowing. "Ask Mrs. O'Connor. She knows her daughter's bracelet." Mrs. O'Connor is understandably emotional. Grief can make people see things that aren't there. That was too much. Ainsley stood up in the witness box, not aloud, didn't care. "I'm not making this up." Her voice rang through the courtroom. "Bridget O'Connor gave me this bracelet. She was scared. She knew something bad was going to happen. She asked me to remember her. And I have. Every single day for 2 months." "Sit down, young lady," Palmer said. "No, you don't get to call me a liar. You don't get to tell Mrs. O'Connor her grief is making her confused." Ainsley's hands clenched. "I was there. I saw Bridget. I saw the other girls. I saw what Dalton was doing. And I'm done being quiet about it." Judge Abernathy's gavel came down. "Miss O'Malley, please sit." "I will sit when he stops calling me a liar." The judge looked at Palmer. "Move on, counselor. Different line of questioning." Palmer tried a few more times, each question deflected or dismantled. Ainsley had learned from Kate, learned from Dr. McLeod, learned from 2 months of preparation. Finally, Palmer gave up. No further questions. Ainsley stepped down. Her legs shook but held. Brennan grabbed her as soon as she reached the gallery, held her tight. "You were amazing," he whispered. "I wasn't done yet." The trial continued. More witnesses, more evidence, each piece adding to the mountain of proof. Then on day 3, Dalton took the stand. His lawyer advised against it. Everyone could see that. But Dalton's ego wouldn't let him stay silent. He wore a suit, looked almost respectable, almost human. He told his version, the misunderstood stepfather, the kids who were troubled, the system that failed him. It was practiced, polished, almost believable. Then the prosecutor began cross-examination. "Mr. Hayes, you claim you were just trying to help Ainsley and Brennan. Is that correct?" "Yes, their mother was my girlfriend, Bone. I loved her. After she died, I wanted to honor her by taking care of her kids." "Very noble. Can you explain the bruises?" "The medical evidence of systematic abuse. Kids get hurt. They play rough. Brennan was always getting into fights at school. And the fractured ribs, the wrist broken in 2 places. Accidents. Brendan fell off his bike. Ainsley fell down the stairs. Multiple times. They're clumsy kids." The prosecutor moved closer. "What about the drugs, the packages Brennan was forced to deliver?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Really? Because Deputy Briggs testified that you paid him to cover up Brennan's arrest, that you had an arrangement." "Deputy Briggs is a liar trying to save himself. And the financial records, the $2.3 million in offshore accounts, where did that come from on a construction worker's salary?" Dalton's jaw tightened. "I made investments." "In what, selling teenage girls?" "Objection," Palmer shouted. "Withdrawn." The prosecutor smiled. "Let's talk about Bridget O'Connor." "Do you know her?" "Never heard of her." "Really? Because Ainsley testified she lived in your trailer for 2 days. The kid's making it up. And the bracelet, Mrs. O'Connor confirmed it belonged to her daughter. How did Ainsley get it if Bridget was never there?" "I don't know. Maybe she found it. Maybe someone gave it to her. Maybe she's lying." The prosecutor showed Dalton a photograph. Bridget's school picture. Take a good look, Mr. Hayes. This is Bridget O'Connor, 14 years old, missing for 2 years. Her mother hasn't seen her since. And you're telling this court you've never met her. Dalton stared at the photo. Something flickered across his face. Recognition, guilt, rage. Never seen her. We have phone records placing you in contact with a trafficking network in California. Bank transfers, travel records, all coinciding with the disappearances of these girls. Coincidence. 19 girls, 19 coincidences. That's asking a lot. Dalton's mask was cracking. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His hands clenched and unclenched. In the gallery, Ainsley watched. Saw him breaking. Saw the monster inside pushing against the civilized veneer. The prosecutor pressed harder. The night Ainsley ran away. What were you doing? Trying to get her to go to bed. She was being difficult. Difficult how? Throwing a tantrum. Acting out. Is that why you grabbed her arm? Left bruises shaped like fingers. I was trying to calm her down. By dragging her to your bedroom. I wasn't dragging her anywhere. That's not what she testified. That's not what her brother saw. Dalton exploded, stood up, slammed his hands on the witness box. That little bitch is lying. She's lying about everything. I gave her a home, fed her, clothed her, and this is how she repays me by making up stories, ruining my life. The courtroom went silent. Dalton realized his mistake too late. Tried to sit, tried to calm down, but the prosecutor wasn't done. You gave those girls everything too, didn't you, before you sold them? I never. Dalton stopped, caught himself. Before you what, Mr. Hayes, finish your sentence. I want a break. I need to consult with my lawyer. Answer the question. What did you do before you sold those girls? I didn't sell anyone, but you just said you gave them everything before. Before what? Dalton's face went red, then purple. He looked at Ainsley, at the 9-year-old who'd destroyed everything. You did this, he said, voice shaking. You ruined my life, everything I built, everything I had, gone. Because of you. He tried to move toward Ainsley. Shackles stopped him. Guards grabbed his arms. I should have finished what I started, Dalton screamed. Should have taken you that night. Should have broken you like I broke the others. The courtroom exploded. Palmer was shouting. The judge was hammering her gavel. Guards were dragging Dalton away. But it was too late. He'd confessed. On the stand, in front of 200 witnesses. Admitted to hurting the girls. Admitted to planning to hurt Ainsley. Everything they needed on the record. Dalton was still screaming when they got him out of the courtroom. Threats, promises, the rage of a man who'd finally lost control. Ainsley sat frozen, staring at the empty defendant's table. She'd won. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, not because they doubted, but because the evidence was massive. 19 counts, hundreds of documents, dozens of witnesses. They had to go through it all. At 4 in the afternoon, they came back. Ainsley was in the courtroom when it happened, sitting between Moira and Brennan. Cormac behind her. Kate beside her. The forewoman stood. Older woman, gray hair, determined expression. Has the jury reached a verdict? Judge Abernathy asked. We have, Your Honor. On the count of human trafficking in the first degree, how do you find guilty? One word, but it changed everything. On the count of conspiracy to commit human trafficking, guilty. On the count of drug trafficking, guilty. 19 counts, 19 guilty verdicts. The courtroom erupted in cheers, in tears, in release of 2 years of pain. Siobhan O'Connor collapsed in her seat, crying, finally having answers, finally having justice for Bridget. Other families held each other. Some cried, some smiled. All felt something shift. Judge Abernathy called for order. When the room quieted, she turned to Dalton. He sat slumped in his chair, defeated, broken. Dalton Hayes, you have been found guilty on all 19 counts. Sentencing will take place in 30 days. But I want to make one thing clear. She leaned forward, voice hard. You are a predator. You preyed on the vulnerable, the desperate, the innocent. You did it for money, for power, for your own sick satisfaction. She paused. The state will be seeking multiple consecutive life sentences. I intend to grant that request. You will never see freedom again. Dalton finally looked up. At the judge, at Ainsley. This isn't over, he said. Voice dead, empty. You think you won. You'll never be normal. What I did to you will follow you forever. Ainsley stood, walked to the front of the courtroom, stood 10 feet from Dalton, guards tensed, ready to intervene. Ainsley looked at him, at the monster who'd haunted her nightmares. You're wrong, she said, clear, strong. You didn't break me, you tried, you hurt me, scared me, made me think I was worthless. But you didn't win. She held up Bridget's bracelet. I'm not the girl you tried to destroy. I'm the girl who destroyed you. I'm the voice for 19 girls who couldn't speak. I'm the reason you'll die in prison. I'm the reason everyone will know what you are. Ainsley stepped closer. You wanted me to disappear, but I'm still here. I'm standing. I'm fighting. And I'm going to help every kid like me. Every kid you hurt. Every kid still suffering. She met his eyes. You don't own me. You never did. And you never will. Then she turned around, walked back to her seat, sat down next to Moira, took her hand. Dalton was led away, still in shackles, still screaming. But his voice was getting smaller, farther away, gone. Outside the courthouse, the media waited. Cameras, microphones, questions. Kate fielded them, gave a brief statement, protected Ainsley from the chaos. Today, justice was served. 19 families have closure, and 2 brave children have their lives back. That's all I have to say. They drove back to the clubhouse, silent, overwhelmed. When they pulled up, the entire club was waiting. Sullivan, Declan, 20 other members, all standing at attention. As Ainsley got out of the car, they started clapping. Slow at first, then louder, a thunderous applause that echoed across the desert. Ainsley didn't know what to do, so she just stood there, let it wash over her. Cormac walked up, pulling her into a hug. Proud of you, kid. So damn proud. That night they had a small celebration. Just family. Brennan showed Ainsley the finished motorcycle. The dragon painted perfectly across the tank, red scales catching the light, eyes that saw everything. It's beautiful, Ainsley whispered. It's yours. Well, ours. We'll ride together. When you're old enough. Promise, promise. 6 months passed. The sentencing came and went. Judge Abernathy made good on her promise. Life without parole. Consecutive sentences. Dalton would die in prison. Deputy Briggs got 15 years. Plea deal. It's testimony against Dalton. The 3 men who set the fire got 20 years each. Justice. Not perfect, but real. Moira filed adoption papers. Made it official. Ainsley and Brennan were legally hers, family in every sense. The clubhouse was rebuilt, better than before, stronger. Ainsley turned 10, party at the clubhouse, cake, presents, people who loved her. She'd started volunteering at a children's shelter, once a week. Art therapy for kids from hard places. She taught them to draw, to express pain in colors and shapes instead of keeping it locked inside. One afternoon, a little girl came in, 7 years old, bruised, silent, wouldn't talk to anyone. Ainsley sat down next to her, set out paper and crayons. Hi, I'm Ainsley. Want to draw with me? The girl looked at her, suspicious, scared. Ainsley drew a dragon, red, fierce, protective. The girl watched, slowly picked up a crayon, started drawing too. No words yet, but a beginning. After the session, Dr. McLeod pulled Ainsley aside. You're good at this, really good. Ever think about doing it professionally? I'm 10. I mean later, when you're older, you have a gift for connecting with traumatized kids. Ainsley thought about that, about turning pain into purpose. Maybe, she said. Yeah, maybe I will. That night, Ainsley sat on the clubhouse steps, same spot where she'd sat with Cormac before the trial. The stars were out, desert quiet, peace. Brennan found her. You okay? Yeah, just thinking. About what? About how different everything is. A year ago, we were running in the rain, scared, lost, didn't know if we'd survive. She paused. Now we're here, safe. loved, free. Pretty big change. Yeah, they sat together, brother and sister, survivors, family. You know what's weird, Ainsley said. I used to dream about being normal, having a regular family, regular life, no pain, no fear. That doesn't sound weird, but now I realize normal doesn't matter. What matters is being safe, being loved, having people who believe you. She looked at Brennan. Having you. Brennan's eyes got wet. You'll always have me, no matter what. I know. The door opened. Moira appeared. There you are. I've been looking everywhere. Phone call for you, Ainsley. Who is it? Siobhan O'Connor, Bridget's mother. Ainsley went inside, took the phone. Hello? Ainsley, hi. I hope it's okay I'm calling. Mrs. O'Connor's voice was thick with emotion. I just wanted to thank you for remembering Bridget, for keeping her bracelet, for helping us find answers. I wish I could have done more. You did everything. You gave me closure. You gave my daughter a voice. You made sure the man who took her will never hurt anyone else. Mrs. O'Connor paused. I know it doesn't bring her back. Nothing will. But knowing what happened, knowing someone cared enough to remember, that means everything. Ainsley felt tears coming. She asked me to remember her. I couldn't forget. Thank you for being brave, for speaking up, for fighting when it would have been easier to stay silent. They talked for 20 minutes about Bridget, about healing, about how to live with loss. When Ainsley hung up, Moira was waiting. You okay, mija? Yeah, I am. And she meant it. 1 year later, on Ainsley's 11th birthday, Cormac gave her a gift. A leather vest, small, made to fit her, Hell's Angels patch on the back, O'Malley sewn above the pocket. Your family, Cormac said. Official. This makes it real. Ainsley put it on, felt the weight, the meaning. Thank you for everything, for opening the door, for believing me, for fighting for us. That's what family does. That afternoon, Brennan took Ainsley for her first motorcycle ride. She sat in the sidecar. He drove. The dragon gleamed in the sun. They rode through the desert, fast, free, wind in their faces, open road ahead. Ainsley laughed, pure joy, the kind she'd forgotten existed. When they got back, there was another girl at the clubhouse, 13, scared, asking for help. Ainsley walked up to her. Hi, I'm Ainsley. You're safe here. Whatever you need will help, I promise. The girl's lip trembled. How do you know? Because someone helped me once, opened a door when I needed it most. Now I open doors for others. She held out her hand. The girl took it. And Ainsley O'Malley's survivor fighter voice for the voiceless led her inside, into warmth, into safety, into family. The door stayed open. It always would, because some things matter more than fear, more than pain, more than the darkness that tries to swallow us whole. Hope matters. Truth matters. Fighting for those who can't fight for themselves matters. And a 9-year-old girl who found the courage to knock on a door in the rain proved that one voice, no matter how small, can change everything. The stars came out over the Nevada desert. The clubhouse lights glowed warm. Inside, laughter, family, home. Outside, the motorcycle with its red dragon stood ready, symbol of strength, symbol of survival, symbol of a girl who refused to disappear. Ainsley O'Malley's story wasn't about what was done to her. It was about what she did with it, how she turned pain into power, trauma into testimony, victimhood into victory, and every day she woke up and chose to fight, not just for herself, for every child still trapped, still suffering, still hoping someone would listen. She became the voice she needed when she was silent, the protector she needed when she was vulnerable, the hope she needed when all seemed lost. And in doing so, she saved not just herself, she saved countless others. One knock, one door, one choice to believe. That's all it took to change the world.